Welcome back to the Art and Yoga and Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Kira Whitaker. In today's video, we are going to have a chat about conversations and prompts for you to ask yourself, for you to maybe write down, to have a better relationship with your body. A lot of times we find ourselves really pointing out and highlighting the things that our body's not doing well or the things we don't like about our body. And in today's episode, I'm going to invite you to reframe that and use it as a catalyst to grow your relationship with your mind and your body. So head on over to today's episode and we'll have a chat, a conversation about the things you say to your body, how you treat your body, and how you can improve it. Welcome back to the Art and Yoga and Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Kira Whitaker. All right, you guys. So today I want to, I guess it's not a new topic. I want to elaborate on something that we've touched on in previous episodes. And that is our relationship with our body. And more importantly, the things that we say to and about our body, whether it be out loud, whether it be just in passing to a friend, wherever it may be, however it may be, we all do it. But I want us to honestly and authentically look at this, zoom out, and I want to equip you with a few tools, a few questions that you can ask yourself, that you can bring to the table if you find yourself in a place where you notice that this is coming up more frequently, or if you notice that you're doing it more often, or if it's something that feels intrusive, meaning intrusive thoughts are thoughts that come about that feel kind of invasive. So nothing really came up. It wasn't in conversation. It's just like, wham, it's there. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So to give a little bit more context, in past episodes, we've talked about values, the importance of thought-provoking and powerful questions, and how that can really help with healing, wellness. It can be a catalyst for change. We've also talked about embodiment recently. That was a few episodes ago. So if you want a little bit more background for today's conversation, I would reference episode 56. That was an episode on embodiment. Also, episode 33 was an honest conversation about body image and weight gain and weight goals. So those are a couple of episodes that you can reference if you want to continue this conversation or even have a little bit of context before you listen, and we'll put those in the show notes. So as you all know by now, because we're almost 60 episodes in, I work with people all day long, primarily people who are wanting support in feeling more at home in their body, whether that be people who are seeing me for health coaching and need a more holistic support system, meaning it might not just be movement, it might be dietary needs, it might be stress management, it might be support in healthy community. So a holistic viewpoint of health and wellness. And that's not to say that we don't touch on those things in therapeutic yoga. My therapeutic yoga clients typically come and see me more for movement needs. So maybe they're having issues with stress, but maybe they're also having issues with mobility, chronic aches, complaints, concerns in that area. And so because of the types of clients I see and because of my specialty, I have ongoing conversations with people about the way they feel, not just about their body, but in their body. And that's what I want to focus a little bit more on today is how do we feel in our body and not so much how do I feel about my body. So with that being said, let's dive in. So the reason that this has come up is I've had a lot of clients recently that have had some shifts in their movement. I've had a couple of clients that have had some neuropathy issues. Neuropathy is tingling and loss of sensation in the extremities. that has changed some of their gait. I've had a couple clients who have had fears of falls lately because of that. I also have clients that just deal with shifts in their mobility, maybe because of age. I also have clients that see me for injuries. So, not for diagnosing injuries. This is once somebody has spent time with their physical therapist or occupational therapist, then they can come see me. And because of this, there's a lot of talk and verbalization from my clients of feeling like maybe their body is betraying them, feeling resentment towards their body, feeling really annoyed and just fed up, maybe with the time they're having to spend focusing on this one area of rehabilitation for their body. And I get it because we love to have these conversations and romanticize this idea, especially in the wellness space, of your body is your home and the body is the house that you live in. And all of that is true. But if you're living in a house that feels like it's breaking down on you and you are consistently distracted because of physical injuries or physical things that are happening that are taking you away from living in your body from a place of embodiment, that sucks. And I get it. So, what can we do with that? What can we do with some of the unavoidable conversations and resentments and seasons in life where we just don't like our body? And when I say season, that could be 7 minutes, that could be 7 days, that could be 7 weeks, that could be 7 months, that could be 7 years. I don't know. But there's always a lesson. There's always a challenge. And there is always a moment and a prompt and a catalyst for growth in these seasons where there's friction. Okay. So if you are someone who is maybe having a moment, and again, I don't know, seasons are different for everybody, but a moment where you don't like your weight. Maybe you've noticed that you've aged a bit, which is okay. Like that's the point, right? Is to live another day. But maybe you've noticed that things have changed about your look. Maybe you have taken care of yourself. Maybe you have made health and wellness and focusing on that a cornerstone in your everyday life, and your knees still hurt. Or you've got this one area of pain in your body and you feel like you're doing all the things right, and it is still an obnoxious distraction for you. What do we do in those moments? Okay. What do we do when we really, really want to live in our brain and body, but we are having a hard time? Okay. Step one is to be honest. And that's what we're going to talk about, is just being honest, not wishing and avoiding and kind of saying to ourselves, well, this sucks. And then just absolutely obliterating the body that we live in. Asking ourselves questions, using this as a moment to look at, okay, but what's working well? That's something that I do a lot of times with my clients. I say, first of all, we're not looking for problems that aren't there, but how can we also acknowledge what's working well in our body? Because most of the time, there's a lot more that's working well and performing well and functioning well than there is the opposite. So how can we make sure that the squeaky wheel doesn't get all of the oil? And how can we focus on a couple of things that are going right? A couple of things that our body's doing consistently that is showing up for us and that is allowing for us to do the things that we need to do in our everyday life. Okay. So some questions that you can ask yourself are, what parts of my body do I appreciate? What are some parts of my body, whether that be a part that I'm looking at or a part that I'm feeling? What parts of my body do I appreciate? What is something about my body, big or small or in between, that I can affirm? And then you sit with that. And maybe it doesn't come to you right then. Maybe it's something that you have to write the question out and then you have to look at it in the notes in your phone. You got to come back to it. You've got to write it in your journal, and you can't come up with anything right then. That's okay. Because remember, we're being honest. You revisit it. You come back to it. But just having that question there, having it as a prompt to cue you and to almost force you to think about it. All right. So what are some parts of my body and even maybe my life right now in this season that I appreciate? And then also, it's okay because we can honor our body and also be really honest about how we're feeling in our body and about our body. What are some parts of my body that I'm frustrated with? What are some parts of my body that I am absolutely annoyed with right now? Being honest with that, but then looking at that. I always, and I stand by this, I say this at least once a week to someone. I said it yesterday in a session with a client. I honored, I listened, I 100% reflected back to them and said, I can hear that that's really frustrating for you. And for you, it sounds like you're hearing this and feeling like this is a setback. But how could we reframe this? And my invitation for that client was, how can we view this as feedback from your body? A lot of times when we don't like something about our body, or when we feel something in our body that is uncomfortable or painful, we immediately go, this is something that I don't want. This is wrong. And this is not serving me. And we immediately find avoidance in that. But my invitation for you is, how can I look at this as just feedback from my body? When I'm having moments where I feel uncomfortable in my body, or I start to revert back to a heady space or voice that is very, very flirtatious with body dysmorphia, or just straight up unkind to my body, I have to look at that and go, what information is this? Is this because I'm tired? Have I not fueled my body in a way that honors it? Have I moved my body in all the right ways? Have I only been in the gym, and have I only been lifting? Have I taken time on my yoga mat to breathe and to do really gentle movement so I can check in? What is this telling me? Because it's all information. It's all an invitation for me to grow, whether it be big or small. So if you wake up and your shoulder's hurting, instead of immediately going, my body's failing me, this is what aging looks like, maybe we reframe that and we go, my shoulder's really cranky today. This is really inconvenient. This is not good timing, but here we are. What is my shoulder telling me? Did I overdo something? Is my body telling me that it needs less of this and more of something else? What feedback is my body giving me? And then being gracious and thankful that your body is communicating with you, that your physical body and your nervous system and the way you move is giving you information that can be useful for your health and wellness. Instead of having this immediate, oh my gosh, everything sucks, my body's doing this, this, and this. How can we use it for a catalyst to have a better relationship with our body? It might not be easy. It might not be convenient. It might be uncomfortable. It might take time. It might mean you need to reach out for some sort of support. You might need to do some physical therapy. You might need to talk to your therapist about it. You might need a health cut, whatever it is. It might not be the most convenient. It might ask you it might be an expense, It might be an investment. I don't want to say expense. I like to think of health and wellness and money that goes into that as a long-term investment, not an expense, but ARB. And so really, really looking at the bigger picture of this and being willing to go deep and wide and not just throwing the baby out with the bathwater when we don't like the way we feel in our body. Because there's something there. There's growth. There's healing. And more than anything, it is your body being so loyal to you because it's telling you things. It is sending you messages. It's letting you know what it needs more and less of. So that is my invitation, my rant, my cue for you to just take it a little bit deeper, take it past the physicality of it, and remembering that your mind and your body really, really want and need to be in relationship with each other. And you're the only person who can bridge that gap. So I will wrap up. I've loved this conversation. As you all have probably picked up on by this point in the podcast, whether it be just listening today or previous episodes, I love, love, love talking about our behaviors and our relationship with our health and wellness. I love talking about this because it's so important, and it's that next step. It's that next step of growth in your health and wellness. So if you have questions, as always, please do not hesitate to reach out. I am always here for a conversation and support and guiding you and helping point you in the direction that you might need to go for the next steps in your health and wellness. And I think that's it. I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.